tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues. And one must be serious.
One must be serious. I couldn't agree more. Let's get busy. Remember, don't like, share, or subscribe. What are you trying to do? Blow up the channel or something? I got enough on my plate. All right, so this was another softball interview with Stephanie Ruhle, MSNBC, as examined by Hugh Hewitt. I've now taken some of that interview, broken it down, and we're going to respond to it ourselves. Basically saying that Donald Trump is not a serious candidate is just ridiculous. And as a matter of fact, if you are any kind of a skilled politician, you should be saying, I believe that Donald Trump actually believes what he's saying. And I disagree with what he is representing of his policy positions in so many different ways. Allow me to articulate. So you don't have to make it sound like he's not serious. This guy is dead serious. This guy went into the office and has become more broke. The guy has been shot at. He has had assassination attempts against him. He has gone through lawfare. He's got people suing him, chasing him through the courts, trying to throw him in jail, indict him. I think he's dead serious about this whole thing. And he just keeps coming. You think this guy is not serious about doing this job? He had all the power and money and wealth and fame that he required in his life. He didn't need all this aggravation. You're saying this is an unserious person? That's maddening. Let's see what other nonsensical things were said in this softball game called the Ruhle-Kamala interview on MSDNC.
And have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment and what will be the economic impact on everyday people.
I just can't believe that she's actually serious in saying these things. You don't think that this guy is looking at dollars and cents, input costs, what he's going to get out of it, the impact of tariffs on goods and services and other things that are coming into the country and the duties that are going to be passed on potentially to consumers in this country, the impact it's going to have on jobs and companies? You don't think he's looking at all that? You don't think this guy knows how to lean on people and negotiate and wheel and deal? When have you ever done that? You've been sucking off the government teeth the entirety of your whole career. Now, maybe not all of his ideas are fantastic. Maybe there will be some implications that there could be negative blowback from using tariffs, but just like anything else, it's a negotiating tool, just like anything else. Don't say this guy's not serious. It's just ridiculous. Let's keep going.
Expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share. I am not mad at anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share, and it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than the richest people in our country.
This is a talking point you don't hear from her time and again, is that she's saying that we're going to raise the tax rate on American corporations. And again, that just gets passed along to the rest of us. I keep hearing, and they keep saying, Bernie's a big fan of the billionaires and corporations paying their fair share. These companies are creating the engines of production in our society, allowing people to earn income to put back into local state economies. Billionaires, let me help you out. Why don't you stop saying billionaires are not going to pay their fair share? We're going to adjust the tax rate of a billionaire in order to create more subsidy for other things to allow people in our society, other services we like to provide, like, in fact, making sure that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, these things are provided for our society. So, not that you're taking that money and redistributing it to poorer people. You don't make poorer people richer by making wealthy people poor, but maybe you then adjust their tax rate and take that money and allocate that money to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security to make sure that it's funded. A little bit more on those guys, not going to hurt them. They probably would be fine with it, right? But frame it a little better so it doesn't sound like you're stealing from them or that they're cheating people. They're paying hundreds of millions of dollars. They've created jobs that are creating new monies to come into local, state, city, federal coffers, tax income. Stop making it sound like they're thieves and they're not bettering our society. All of those billionaires have bettered our society in one way or another. Let's keep going.
Most likely voters still think Donald Trump is better to handle the economy. Why do you think that is?
Well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression when you look at, for example, the employment numbers.
It was during COVID, and employment was so high because we shut down the government, we shut down the country.
Even before the pandemic, he lost manufacturing jobs by most people's estimates, at least 200,000. He lost manufacturing plants, ask the auto workers.
Yeah, this is so astonishing. She just made this up. She has just literally made this up. Donald Trump created 414,000 manufacturing jobs before COVID. And COVID isn't Donald Trump's fault. It's China's fault.
I appreciate Hugh Hewitt appending that whole argument with the facts, which is, no, he didn't lose those manufacturing jobs. And no, COVID was not Trump's fault. Unprecedented. What could you do in that whole situation? She's trying to make it sound like that unemployment, inflation, economics, things weren't good in this country between 2016 and 2020. I know personally, 2018, 2019 namely, for my business, health, fitness, wellness-based services, our income, these types of mom and pop facilities, not even franchise facilities, what's the difference? They're based on the disposable income of people. So when people have more money in their pocket because they're not overpaying for gas, food, electric, energy, credit card interest rates, home equity lines of interest rates. They're not paying high rates for mortgages. They have extra money to buy new cars, go out to dinner, go on better vacations, spend money on disposable services like mine. You don't need to go to the gym workout. You don't need to go for a massage. You don't need to go for a facial necessarily. We have extra money. You do those things. 2019, we had 6 record months in our business. 6. End of the year, we had a record year, 2019, for revenue. Even my accountant was like, my God, wow, you guys are doing great. Yes, and that's what people want to go back to. They want to go back to this feeling that we have economic expansion, a renaissance, a resurgence of people feeling good again. If 2020 to 2024 was so good, you would be running away from the Biden presidency. You would be saying, I'm going to continue on all this great success and I'm going to twist it with a little bit of my own now creative ideas that I couldn't do because I was only the vice president. But she would have been doing all these things already. If there was price gouging by these big companies, she would have been on top of it. If there was such a problem with the border, she would have been on top of it. They didn't do anything for 3 years, and now it's politically convenient for her to actually now stop all these border crossings because then she could say, oh, look, we did it. All we did was just reinstitute the executive actions that Donald Trump did, that he's been talking about for 10 years or more. So he was right on all these things 10 years ago. So why should we trust you with all of this? if you're going to go vote for her, you have to ask yourself those same questions. Let's keep going.
His fault. Cut number 6, just a little tagline, just a little bit of blurry rhetoric from Kamala Harris. Cut number 6.
Home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive. Gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream.
So real quickly, if you did such a great job with economy and bringing back jobs and making sure that the quality of life for people was so good, well then why is gone the affordability of home ownership? Why is that? And what have you been doing all these years? The pandemic is now in the rear view. You've had at least a year or two without these government mandates of shutdown and masks and all these other crazy draconian things that you did in your administration, that you could have been taking us a straight line up. Granted, stock market is fantastic, record highs. Unemployment is at all-time lows. I grant you that, but people are not feeling it. Don't blame. What do you know about what it costs to manufacture, produce, input costs in grocery stores? What do you know what that price level is to be or how to control it? They're price gouging who? What companies? Who are they? Why didn't you call them out? Why didn't you do something then in the last 1 to 2 years about these companies that are price gouging? You know how tight the margins are? We know people that own supermarkets. You know how tight those margins are on all these different products in a supermarket? It's like 1 to 2%. They're price gouging. Girl, you're crazy.
For the future.
Yeah.
But still, there are lots of Americans who don't see themselves in your plans. For those who say these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them?
Well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition. We have aspirations. We have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic. But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. But we don't lack for those things. But not everyone, gets handed stuff on a silver platter. And so my vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions, which include, for middle-class families, just being able to know that their hard work allows them to get ahead, right? I think we can't and we shouldn't aspire to have an economy that just allows people to get by. People want to do more than just get by. They want to get ahead. And I come from the middle class.
Again, there was all the platitudes, dreams, aspirations, goals. Oh, I'm energized by the American people. That's all nonsense. None of that helps me. I've got dreams, goals, aspirations. What's the difference if people don't have money in their pockets? That little veiled shot about, getting handed everything on a silver platter. Is she trying to say that Donald Trump was just handed money and opportunity? His father made him work. He made him come up. What about all the families, all Long Island families? Many families I know around me, their kids are growing up with beautiful vacations every year. Their parents buy them a car. They pay for their kids' college tuition. My parents didn't do any of that. So you could say that all of those kids are being served up opportunity on a silver platter. So you're insulting all of them. They might even be voting for you still. God knows why. So that's all nonsense. So if you could lay out and articulate plans, financial policies that are going to benefit people that are down at my level, right? Where the price of energy, the price of gasoline, the price of goods and services and groceries, those things directly affect me. If I can save $300 to $400 a month, that's the $300 to $400 a month I need to put into my Roths every single month in order to pursue my goals of retirement savings, my dreams and aspirations too. Okay, but dreams and aspirations are not going to change my good fortune. You got to have good policy prescription to make those things happen. If you listen to Trump, you may not like him. You may not like his rhetoric. You may not like his bluster. You may not like his locker room talk and stories and rhetoric. But you know what? The guy does know seriously what he wants to do. And we lived through 4 years of it. 2016 to 2020. We all lived. We know empirically what it was like. Can we gamble on the next 4 years? If this 4 years was helmed by Biden-Harris, you want it to be helmed by Harris-Waltz? Can you afford to take that chance? If you can, then good for you. Then maybe none of this really affects you. But for those of us that are serious, we have to seriously look at what's going to happen and responsibly vote. Vote based on the data, the statistics, the information, and the presentation of how it's going to get done, if it can be done. Not on platitudes and warm, fuzzy puppies, rainbows, and little leprechauns sitting on a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.